Welcome to Highlighted, a Life Church Midweek Podcast. Here we're on a journey to look for ways to make our sermons more practical in our everyday lives, and we want to inspire you to live out your faith every single day, not just on Sundays. In each episode, we highlight our sermons and our ministries to see how God is working in our church and through our community. And bang, I did that right.
Come
first
on,
try.
Let's go.
Welcome back to Highlighted, I should say.
Yeah.
We've taken a little break over the summer, and now that school's starting up, we just started a brand new series, so things are kicking into high gear. So we're back. I know some of you were worried what happened to my favorite midweek podcast.
Yeah.
We're back.
I was worried.
And I'm here with my favorite pastor in the world, I should say that.
Thanks for adding
Or
that.
the best pastor. I forgot what I said. The greatest pastor in the world.
I was going to say as soon as you were done, and I'm here with the greatest worship leader in the world.
Where is he?
But I didn't want to lie on the podcast. I'm kidding. You know I love you. And so, welcome back. We're excited to get back to the podcast, excited to kind of dig into our new series. We just came off of a 18-week series that was intense and also a lot of fun. We went through a lot of obscure stories. If you haven't seen that series, or maybe you only follow the Wednesday podcast and you haven't heard us talk about it, you need to go back and watch them. They're really, really fun. It's a really, really fun series. But we did just start a new one this week.
And they're all unique,
yes,
too. I will say that.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to get in here and you're going to hear the same old Noah's Ark story. Those are the ones we were avoiding.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we were avoiding. It's super obscure. No, it's not. It's really practical, and it's really easy to dive into with things you could take away. So the messages aren't obscure, but the Bible stories are.
Definitely ones we don't
So,
get into.
make sure you have that noted, because I don't want you going in
fair.
What weird practical...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but we're jumping into another very, very, very practical series called Built to Bless. It's just a 2-week series that's going to ramp us straight into Missions Month, by the way. That's going to be a lot of fun. So we just started out this past Sunday. In case you missed it, I know you missed this. We're going to pause right here. Go back, check out the podcast episode before this or the YouTube video before this, depending on where you're watching or listening. Give that a listen, then you'll be kind of geared up and ready to dive into what we're going to talk about today. Yeah.
So Built to Bless, the idea behind this is that we have an option in how we treat people, an option in how we interact with people, but the option is very limited. You have 2 choices. You can bless or you can curse. And so we began to look at this week the story of Jacob and Esau, and in particular, the deception of Jacob to get his father's blessing that was supposed to be for Esau. And the whole reason to paint that picture wasn't to say, look at how he was blessed. It was to say, blessing is a desire of us as humans. It's a human natural desire for us to want to be blessed, to want someone or something to speak and act in a blessful way over us. I think I just made up a word. I'm not sure that was
blessful,
a word.
Yeah.
Blessful, yeah.
It is now.
It is now. I like it. And so what we saw here was that Jacob will do anything, including be deceptive. Jacob's mother will do anything to get the blessing of the father. Now, I think there's probably some other things underlining there that we didn't get into, but I just wanted to show what the lengths that he would go to, and then kind of juxtapose that against Esau's, Esau's disappointment and almost crying out for that blessing. Esau says, don't you have just one more blessing for me? And we say that very light, but he's probably yelling this. He's mad, he's hurt, and he's being told basically.
And he's a big manly guy.
Right, yeah. So much so that Jacob and his mom determine later that it's best for Jacob to run. And so that blessing really does, getting that blessing in the way that Jacob did really does turn into a little bit of a curse for him. He spends his life having the blessing of his father, and that does follow him, but also dealing with the pieces of that broken relationship between him and his father and him and Esau, and really paying the price for that deception in a lot of ways. And for us, that the practical piece of this is, the biggest thing is to understand that people around you desire to be blessed. And you might think, well, I don't know, Pastor, I don't need other people to bless me. But I want you to think about how people interact with you and talk to you and engage with you, and what makes you feel the best, what moves you towards doing things, what challenges you to be a better person. And so you can bless or you can curse. That's the general idea. It's very simple, and that's kind of the craziness behind the whole series, is that, yes, we're spending 2 weeks talking about it, but the reality is it is a choice. You make a choice what you bring into people's lives. And so you and I are constantly bringing stuff into each other's lives. We are, and I make a choice as to whether or not that's blessing or that's curse.
So like earlier when we entered the podcast and you said you're with the greatest worship leader, and then you didn't want to lie.
Well, I was showing the difference between blessing and curse.
No, but I think that you phrased that so well there. It's such a simple thing that sometimes we forget about it, or sometimes we over-spiritualize it too. Or we put our own definitions behind it. And you said this on Sunday, like when we're saying curse, we're not talking about a certain words.
Right.
We're not talking about certain language that maybe my grandma doesn't approve of,
right.
Or maybe that one uncle really approves of.
I have an uncle like that too.
Yeah, wow. No, but it's true. We sometimes we overinflate these things in our lives, and they can even become idols.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, oh, I'm living a holier than thou kind of lifestyle. I would never curse anyone. I would never do anything like that. But in reality, you just tore down the Wendy's drive-through worker because they accidentally put mayonnaise on your 4 for $4.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, like, oh, like I don't know how to bless, like I don't have money, like that's something we typically think of, like I can't give, I can't serve, I can't do these things. But you said this on Sunday that like think of that like teacher that encouraged you that one time, like even just simple things like that we take for granted, like that is blessing.
Yeah,
someone that saw something in your life and spoke that over you, that's blessing. And just as much someone that maybe pointed out something that tore you down, like that's cursing. And sometimes we have the tendency to over spiritualize these things, or overinflate these things, or even under emphasize these things, because it's such a simple thing. It's one or the other, right? There's no middle ground. That's all we talked about Sunday.
Neutral.
There's no middle ground. You can't have 1 foot in the blessing basket and 1 foot in the cursing basket. Like you have to choose to speak life.
Yeah.
You have to choose that. And even if it's not in your words, but it's in your attitudes and it's in your actions and how you carry yourself. Like every little thing we choose to do on a daily basis has implications that outlast us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we kind of highlighted this on Sunday, but one of my favorite things about this mindset is that we see James talk about it. And James was the half brother of Jesus. And every time I read James, I think, as he's writing, I'm thinking he's thinking back to Jesus and thinking back to the relationship that he had. By the way, none of Jesus's half brothers, none of his family, other than his mom, and we don't know about his dad, but the ones we know about, none of them believed he was the Messiah until after he rose again. Right. And then all of a sudden it clicked. Right. All of a sudden everything began. And then they became, evangelists and missionaries. And James writes these letters. And one of the things he talks about was that your tongue is such a small piece of your body, but life and death are in the power of the tongue. And I imagine him kind of, kicking back and writing this letter out and thinking, what was it about Jesus that I saw that was different in him than me? Right, and he looks and he's like, we kind of look the same. We had the same dad, right? That doesn't make any. We understand.
Same mom.
Yeah, right.
And that heavenly Father.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that's true. Same mom. Sorry, you're right. I wasn't even thinking about that. They were raised by the same.
Didn't want to tear you down.
No,
there.
I appreciate it.
They were both probably really good carpenters.
Yeah. And so they were raised by the same dad, but didn't have the same dad. You can't even edit that stuff out, because there's no way. It just is what it is. But yeah, same mom. And so. They have the same looks. They were raised the same way. They understood carpentry from the same teacher, and all these things. But what is it about me that's different than what it was about him? And he thinks back and he's like, that time Mom wanted me to do that thing after whatever happened to Joseph, whatever happened. And now I'm like, dang, I probably shouldn't have said that to my mom. And Jesus just went and did it, Or it's little things like that. And so James begins to write about this, and he says, listen, one of the biggest differences is, is that my mouth got me in a whole lot more trouble than Jesus's mouth did in reference to sin. Jesus's mouth got him in trouble, don't get me wrong, but not from a sinful standpoint. And in this case, he's saying, look, you can't bless God and curse those who were made in his image. And I think that's one of the most powerful statements that someone who grew up with Jesus could make, because they would have seen him do both, right? Bless God and bless people, and never curse someone.
Yeah, and I think the interesting perspective too is, and we see this in James, we saw this in Jude when we were talking about Jude in our Biblically Obscure series, or at Father's Day, and whenever we brought him up, you see this interesting perspective of someone, like you said, that grew up the same exact way, and that's so rare to find today, right? Because it's like, I spend a lot of time with you. We do a lot of things together, but we didn't grow up the same, so we still have different outlooks and opinions and our own thoughts and ways of doing things. But like, I couldn't imagine being, and not only just being Jesus's brother, but being his little brother, too. Like, that's got to be so demeaning almost.
Yeah.
Especially as a little, like, 13-year-old. You got to think James is like, but Mom, like, what about, like, Jesus is out. He's talking to those gross fishermen in the boat, Mom. And, like, all these little things that, like, you would think this little brother is kind of, like, naggy and whiny and almost, like, in a way, like, is the baby of the family, but also plays second fiddle when your brother is the Messiah. Right? And his mom knew that, right? Like, she had an angel come up to her and be like, hey, you're going to be pregnant. And I know you're not married yet, but you're going to get married to this man. You're going to have this baby, and you're going to have this baby here. And this is what this baby's going to do. And then watching him grow up and fulfill all these things that were spoken over her. And then being the little brother to that has got to feel almost like just this raw state of like, I don't understand. Like, why is my brother lying about who he is? Like, we have the same dad. Like, why is he saying he came from God? Like, I know the rumors around town are that they weren't married yet, and that's okay that they want to claim that, but let's be real.
But really, the Son of God.
So you got to think, like, this is this perspective that James is having, like, growing up almost in the shadow of Jesus. And obviously, he's not smart enough to be picked to go to rabbi school, right? He's also a carpenter, but he's not the Son of God.
Right.
And it's like, that's got to be so, like, demoralizing and demeaning. But then, even then, after the fact, to say, wow, like, he is the Messiah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't believe then. I didn't see it when it was right in front of me, but I believe now. And to have him grow up and then to write these things about Jesus, having that perspective that, like, this, at one point, this could have been my worst enemy, was my older brother, right? Because that's the relationship siblings have. Like, this was my greatest adversary, right? You know, like, and they knew the songs, right? Like, Saul had his hundreds, David had his, or Saul had his thousands, David had his 10,000s. And so it's like, you got to think, like, they're not even related. And they got this, and it's like, this is my adversary, you know? Like, David had Saul, but I have my older brother.
And so, Jesus. Like, David had Saul, but I've got Jesus. What a crazy thing to say.
Well, I didn't say that. I said older brother.
It's awesome.
But, and then to grow up and then to reflect on that.
Yeah.
And to still write, like, you have to have blessing, and you can't tear down an image bearer of God.
Right.
And if we were all created in his image, then even the people that we disagree with, even the people whose opinions are wrong, right? Even the people who are teaching bad things, right? Even the people who go out and intend to cause harm, they're still made in the image of God.
Yeah.
And just as easy as it is to tear them down, to discredit them, to talk about how unqualified they are, it's just as easy to lift them up in prayer.
Yeah.
It's just as easy to speak life over them and to choose to believe the best about them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't mean that you can't address the things, right? You choose to address them in love. That's what blessing is. And this is, you, as you were telling that and as you were kind of talking through that, I was thinking, it's interesting because as when they were younger, he probably thought that as a curse, that he was Jesus is my brother, right? And as he got older, he understood that was actually a blessing that he just couldn't understand in this moment. That's kind of like speaking the truth in love sometimes. It feels like a curse, but it's a blessing. This whole series is about intention. What's the intent? Not the intention you say, the intention that's true, right? Are you calling someone out because you want to make them look bad? Are you calling someone out because they really need to be? There needs to be a shift in their thinking and in their process. How are you calling them out? Are you doing it in front of people, or are you doing it privately? All these different things. Does that mean that because you can be a blessing or a curse, does that mean you can never speak to someone about something that's hard to talk about? No. In fact, I think it's a curse not to have those conversations, right? It'd be like me trying to raise my kids but never actually tell them or teach them how to make choices and these kind of things, because it might be difficult or it might be hard. And so this is the challenge of the series, right? You can do one of two things, and we got to stop thinking in neutral. This is what gets us in trouble, because the biggest point from Sunday is not one that I really hit on super hard, but it was just in the title. There is no neutral in the kingdom of God. You're either going to bless someone or you're going to curse someone, and you are the only person who can control that. Okay? And the image that we have from God is that he's going to bless us, not curse us, right? He even sends his son to die for us instead of us having to go and pay the price for the curse. And so that's the picture we have. And so we got to make these words bigger. They're too small for us in our society. We say bless you when somebody sneezes. Is that polite? Yes. Should you do it? Sure. Is it a bad thing to do? No. But that's such a small version of that word. Somebody says, say the blessing over the food. Okay, great. It's still too small. It's such a big thing, and it mattered so much that these two brothers, one would fight for it, and even do the wrong things for it, and another would just be heartbroken, and it would impact the rest of his life because he's not going to have this blessing. And so the story from Sunday, the Bible account from Sunday, is not about saying, hey, look at how great their dad was to bless them. Okay, the point was to show how we are hungry for blessing, and honestly, curse just causes us to retract.
Yeah, and I think you highlighted this on Sunday too, but the interesting thing is it wasn't just like he was saying a prayer over his sons.
Right.
It wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to bless you, son. Hey, make good choices. Be good and do good. Go.
Right.
It wasn't just that.
So much more than that.
But there was such a weight to it.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, it caused this desperation in one son, and it caused this anguish and heartbreak in another, to the point where he wanted to hunt him down and kill him. Like, he had to run for his life for years and years. And even like later on, we read that like Jacob comes back and he's like sending men out, like, we're going to Esau's.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to send out some spies. We're going to find out what's going on. Like, is he going to receive me well, or is he going to come and kill all of us?
Yeah.
And this is like 20 years down the road plus that this is all happening. It's like he's got his own family now.
Yeah.
Like, he's got his own kids. He's got his own land. He's got his own thing going on. And even this far removed, he's still worried.
Here's the crazy part. Esau does receive him well, and Jacob doesn't believe it, right? Who would have thought Jacob the deceiver, right, would struggle with understanding what true blessing is from his brother? Esau basically says to Jacob, Come stay with me for a while. I want to get to know your family. I want to get to know you. I want you to know my family. And so Jacob basically spits in his face, right? And it's much longer before he actually does come back and before things actually happen. And so it's a great account in Scripture, and it really does show how blessing and curse follow individuals, and how we can have an impact on people that we never dreamed we'd have an impact on, simply by treating them the way God would treat them, simply by choosing that I'm going to bless someone, not curse them, and that I'm going to step into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we've been talking about the whole time, is the biggest thing is that, like, this is an everyday thing for us.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't just a Sunday morning thing.
Right.
Like, we don't just bless people on Sunday morning and then curse them the other 6 days of the week. Right? We don't just bless people when the end of the day, we're going to go do our nighttime prayers like our grandma taught us how to do. Like, we're not only blessing people there, but every single action that we have, every single decision that we make, every smile, handshake, wave, hello, even indicates blessing over someone's life. You were talking about this on Sunday. Like, we don't want people to come into a place, not just church, but anywhere, where they feel unwelcomed or unloved.
Yeah.
And even just that simple act of kindness, of saying hello, or getting to know someone, or speaking truth and life over someone, right? Even the hard things, right? Even speaking the hard things, the hard truth in love is blessing. And when we choose to minimize these things to a prayer and some potty language, then we're diminishing the whole point.
Yeah.
Right? But when we choose to elevate them and see the things the way God would see them, right? When we realize that this person is an image bearer of Christ, they carry kingdom value, right? And that's a big word. And I know most of you probably know what I'm talking about. But it's true. Like, we were all created in the image of God. Jesus died the same for me as he did for you.
Yeah.
And so when we begin to not see people that way, we become more selfish. We become more hot-headed, probably. We become more easy to keep these things to ourselves.
Yeah.
And instead of going out and spreading the good news and spreading the gospel, we're keeping it to ourselves because we didn't like the way that someone looked at us.
Yeah.
Or we didn't like the political opinion that this family member had.
Right.
And when we diminish ourselves to just these yes and no kind of moments where it's like, well, they did this, so I'm not going to choose to bless them, we're missing the point. But when we can choose, no matter what they do to us, right? No matter what they believe about us, no matter what they say about us, if we can choose to walk in blessing and to carry that everywhere with us, people can start to notice the difference. They can start to notice, wow, what is he carrying? What is she carrying that I don't have? Right? Similar to what probably James was thinking, like, what was Jesus? What was Jesus carrying that I didn't have? Well, he never cussed out mom. Like, I got mad. I slammed my door one time. She told me I was up too late partying in Bethlehem for the census. We went back. I don't know. This is not biblically accurate. This is very, very biblically obscure.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, you got to think this perspective that James is having here. Yeah. And when you parallel that with the story and you see the hunger of Jacob, you see the desperation of even his mom to say, hey, your dad, he can't see anymore. Your brother's gone. Like, how good was this blessing? Like, I need to get one of these. Right? Like, I need to receive that, because it's like, if I'm willing to even cut off one of my sons for my favorite son, like, that's like the quality of blessing has got to be up there. Yeah. Right? It's not just a little prayer. It's not just a little benediction that he's going to pray over his sons and leave them with it. But it's like life-altering, life-changing things that he was speaking over him.
It's the idea that I want God's preferred future for you. Not what you want for me, not what I want for me, but God's preferred future of provision, right? God's preferred future of protection, God's preferred future of providence, all these things. And we kind of shrink it down to, oh, he sneezed, right?
Yeah. And I just think it's such a beautiful perspective to know that you have two brothers that are pitted at each other. And then later on in the New Testament, you have two brothers. One of them is the savior of the world, and the other one is his half-brother. And he's reminiscing on this life.
Right.
And to know that it's brother and brother, like, they had the same relationship, right? The same things, the same pitfalls that these two had. James probably had with Jesus. The same reasons Jacob probably got mad at Esau,
right,
are the same reasons that little brother James is getting mad at Jesus. So you got to think, for him to look back over his life, and when we allow ourselves to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And we can look over our lives from an outside perspective and really focus in and realize that what we say matters, what we do matters, and the way that we carry ourselves, not just the blessings that we say, not just the prayers that we say, not just the Sundays we show up to church, not just the ways we serve our community, but the ways we value people that are made in the image of God matters and carries so much weight, far more than we could ever see. And to know that we're walking in this not because our mom told us to, not because pastor preached a message on it, but because it's what God expects of us.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, it's such a higher standard that we even hold ourselves to because of it. So I will just challenge you and encourage you, find a way to just bless someone this week with your words, with your actions, with your attitudes, man, make them know that you're grateful for that one thing that they do in your life. Maybe it's something unseen. Maybe it's something that someone always does, right? It's the same person that always goes and gets my mail when I'm sick, and I've never told them thank you. I've never told them I've appreciated them for being a good neighbor, or, et cetera. It's different in all of our lives, but I would challenge you to look over your life and find those people that maybe sit in the margins that we don't think about, that we don't look at, but that really need a blessing from God.
Yeah.
And how can we do that this week? And one way that we can bless people coming up soon, right, is Missions Month, because that's coming up 2 weeks away. Not to dive straight out of the message, but Missions Month is literally, so we have one Sunday of this series coming up. And then we're diving head in to Missions Month. We have so much going on. We're going to do water baptisms multiple times in the month of September. We're going to have some missionary partners with us all month long, doing some awesome and incredible things in our city and in the world. And we're going to get to hear and understand a little bit more about the rest of our missionary partners. And as we pray about and dream towards 2027 and what it looks like to support missionaries, then we're going to learn a little bit more about them, but we're also going to pray for them. And we're going to be considering what we're giving to our missionaries in 2027. So we'll be doing our Faith Promise cards. We have our Around the World Missions Festival coming up. I saw the sign-up sheet. There's a lot of good countries.
Great countries.
A lot of good countries. So come hungry, come ready. That is the third week of September. I'm blanking on the date, but I'll put it up here at 4 p.m. It's on a Sunday. I was going to say it's on a Sunday morning. It's after Sunday morning, 4 p.m. But there's so much going on for Missions Collective. We're going to be jumping into a brand new series called Hold the Rope. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Maybe we'll give you more of a teaser next week. But I would encourage you, find out a way that we can bless others. Find a way that you can bless our missionaries. We got them all on the board. You can write them a letter. You can reach out to them. And I really believe that coming out of Biblically Obscure, this series, Built to Bless, is really going to propel us into how can we care for our missionary partners? How can we support them? How can we better understand what they're going through in a way that propels the gospel forward?
It's good.
So there's always stuff going on, so much happening. And as always, we love you and we can't wait to see you again soon.